channel.
So we're heading out probably about 30 miles down Highway 1 towards Carmel. And what a beautiful day to do it on. Can't believe it's November. Back in England it'll be pouring with rain. I'm sitting on this thing.
It's got to be about 70 degrees and it's only about 10 AM. Carmel beckons, and I do really feel that I'm starring in my very own road movie, only being disturbed briefly to let the firm arm of the law go on its way. If you're at all worried about handling a motorcycle in America, for the moment, fear not. The drivers are generally friendly and aware, and most importantly, there's not too many of them, and the road is plenty big enough to make the odd mistake. This, although, will change as we head towards Los Angeles, a place where every car seems to want to kill you. As I contemplate whether my road movie will be a love story or a tragedy, I arrive in Carmel, surely the definitive definition of chocolate box America. The little town of Carmel is surely a one-off. Its mayor is Clint Eastwood, and its streets and boutiques are obsessively manicured to retain its history and bijou appeal. Franchise businesses are totally banned here, and you get the feeling that if Starbucks or Costa Coffee opened up, there would be all-out civil war. One of the best restaurants in town is this Italian called Casanova's, owned by Walter Joris and his family, serving unmolested Italian fare and a genuinely heartfelt welcome in equal measures. You really are obsessed, perhaps, about upholding, history and that. I mean, there are no street names.
We have street names, but no addresses. There are no numbers. So it says, well, we live on the northwest corner of 12th and Casanova. And it's our house with a pink fence. There are no street lights, and there's no signals in town. So you're kind of in the dark, and the idea is to keep it a village. You cannot build a house without putting wood around the trees to protect it from potential backhoe running into the tree, because you may kill the tree. And we're not killing trees here. You may build a home, but you're not moving a tree for the convenience of the architecture.
Well, in keeping with their passion here in Carmel to stave off modernity, there is no mail service here. So everybody in the town has to come down and get their mail from these little boxes. This way of life may seem absurd to you and me, but you have to hand it to the wealthy residents that they've succeeded in preventing the tide of Western capitalism infiltrating their sacred village, even though paradoxically they've all made their money from it to be able to live here. Isn't this the most picturesque little petrol station you've ever seen? Well, we're leaving Carmel and heading up to Big Sur. I need to get some petrol. Now, the trouble with this bike, if there is one so far, is that it does about 100 miles to the tank. So consequently, I have to monitor it all the time, because the reserve also is only about 15 miles. So I've got to fill up regular-like. As I head out of Carmel, soaking up the coastal views, the fading sun is making life pretty cold, so on with the jacket. The start of Big Sur is only about 25 miles down the one from Carmel, but what a ride it is. The road twists from headland to headland, revealing vistas that take your breath away. I've even got time to check out Bixby Bridge, one of the world's highest single-span bridges. As I lose the light completely, my hostelry for the night looks rather welcoming.
Oh, wow, that was amazing. 25 miles of most unbelievable coastal ride in magic hour. Life can't get better than that. Well, we're here at Big Sur, which is really more of a statement than a place.
As daylight breaks over the Big Sur Lodge, situated right in the middle of a redwood forest, the statement of individuality and non-conformity that this area is famed for is furthest from my thoughts. Well, it's a lovely morning here at the Big Sur Lodge, but I'm in a grump, and I don't know why. The only thing that sort of cheers me up is looking at that bike. So we stayed here last night. in these lodges. Now, I'll tell you why I'm grumpy. It's because we went down for breakfast, and very unusual for America, but the service was just rubbish. But it is actually all very spacious and all very quaint and all very sort of rustic and pine. The one thing I do love about places like this, a little coffee percolator. And out here is your terrace. Now, as terraces go, I wouldn't say the view's that good. But these little lodges are good just for one night, I suppose. And it costs 75 quid. Now, I just need to check the bike over just a little bit to see if there are any problems. That's what they told me to do. Every morning, just check it over as it's new. There's only one problem for me, being told to check things out. I don't know what to check. I think I'll just go and have another coffee.
Well, I guess I'll hit the coffee percolator one more time, cheer up, tog up, and leave my chintzy little wooden cabin behind. Well, I can't wait to get back onto Highway 1 and leave the Big Sur Lodge. Something probably to be avoided unless you're into the smell of pine resin and lippy waiters. As I settle down into the ride and admire the redwood forest all around me, I realise to my horror that the dreaded fog has rolled in from the sea to obscure both the sun, the warmth, and any glimmer of an end to my bad mood. This doesn't bode well for my next stop, one of the most famous coastal culinary delights in Big Sur. On arrival, it's not gone well at all.
Oh dear. Well, I was going to show you one of the most famous restaurants in Big Sur, which is here, Nepenthe. It has probably some of the greatest views on this coastline, apart from this morning, where the fog's come in. So you can't actually see anything. So my grump continues, eh?
Just as I give up on what could have been a delightful little hostelry, in the car park I spy a few fellow bikers to hopefully brighten my mood.
Round here, okay, they say that Big Sur's really not a city, if you see what I mean, or a town, but it's a state of mind.
Yeah, it's a tough place, yeah.
How's that, how does that, you know, how do you describe
Well, I don't know,
that?
Henry Miller lives right around the corner, you know, so, I mean, they wouldn't even let us read his books, you know, until the 50s.
Yeah.
Esalen to Gorda,
Yeah.
there's no electricity.
This is California, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, but this is a special place, you know. You got to be half hippie and tough to live in Big Sur, you know.
Do you think bikes is what it's about as regards a statement of freedom?
Well, it is for me.
Is it?
My girlfriend just died. I didn't know what to do with myself.
God.
And a lady down the street says, well, buy a motorcycle. I said, shit, I'm going to be 70 years old, man. A motorcycle? And the minute I bought this thing, threw my leg over it, this is the last thing Sonny made, and she's with me again, you know? So,
Really, is that
yeah,
so?
it's just changed my whole world.
With Jim's infectious positivity and a go on his mate's absurd Harley-Davidson trike round the car park, life's looking up.
Well, that little chat there with Jim and his friends has cheered me up somewhat. I've got to say, if you want an endorsement about what motorcycling does to the soul, you know, he's lost his girlfriend, he's 70 years old, and now he's turned to motorcycling, which has helped him get over it. Well, that's really a true endorsement of it all. You wouldn't get that with a little hatchback, would you? Anyway, we're going to head off, try and find some sun, and get on our way down towards St. Louis Obispo. Do you know, on this trip, got Hamish with me, the sound man. Doesn't say a word. I've been trying to get him to say anything, and you're lucky if you get a little grunt out of him. Right, look at him, he's hiding behind the camera now. We've asked him to do an American accent, or try and tell a joke a day. That would be helpful. Nothing. Not even a dicky bird.
It's not my job.
I think I'm just going to have to accept that the fog might be here for a while, but it doesn't altogether obscure some of the stunning scenery. As I ride on, it's getting even colder, however, but the cold's a great excuse to pull in, fill up, and as always with me, pop in for a bite to eat.
Don't get me wrong, okay, that ride was fantastic. Was it? No, it was freezing cold, it was foggy. Wasn't really fantastic at all. You only just get away from these cliffs, which is probably pretty stupid things. We're doing a coastal ride. Then it's going to warm up a bit. You can do your American accent now, or not?
Hello, Stephen.
quite incredible. It sounded a bit like Stephen Hawkins rather than anything else.
So body and bike refueled, it's time to get back in the saddle. With every twist and turn, this route has a habit of revealing the odd surprise.
I just saw these guys from the road. Absolutely amazing. These are elephant seals, and they come ashore here to sort of breed and molt, and as far as I can make out, sleep. Anyway, always onward.
We're heading down the coast some 60 miles towards San Luis Obispo, but before we get to San Luis, I'm in search of one of the weirdest national monuments in all of the Americas. This is Nitwit Ridge in the village of Cambria, very close to the world-famous Hearst Castle, and it's a house built by one Harold Beale, or Captain Nitwit as he was known, purely out of junk. Strangely, it shares the eccentricity of Hearst Castle, only in that William Hearst scoured the world for a mismatch of multi-million-pound artefacts, while Captain Nitwit scoured the local rubbish dump.
Mike, this has to be the craziest national landmark I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, one of the craziest on the Central Coast, and especially since it's so close to Hearst Castle, you know. So this guy just collected junk with no money, and I guess Hearst had all the money, and he collected artifacts from around the world.
Yeah.
But they both collected discards in one way or another.
He was a salvager anyway, was he, or not?
Well, he came here, he was just a construction worker. He came here in 28, and then he became a trash man for about 30 years, a few years after he came here.
It's crazy. I mean, it's built with just everything that he found, you know.
Well, yeah, you know, he would use like car rims for the columns inside the rock columns. He'd use car rims for support. He'd use beer cans for support. He'd use whatever he could get a hold of. The only thing he did say he paid for was the concrete.
Well, I've got to say this place is mad. I mean, look, we're sitting on two lavatories here having a chat. You know, what was this space? Was this actually his outside loo, or was this a place he could just hang out?
No, this was he has a couple toilets. He had an indoor toilet, but this was his two-seated outhouse. He said with his and her toilet, so he could sit here and have conversations with people.
Nitwit Ridge is a must-see because it surely embodies the eccentricity of this part of California. Perhaps Captain Nitwit was one of the first misunderstood eco-house builders, but in 1928 he was perceived purely as a loony. Funny how things change. As night begins to fall, it's only a short ride to San Luis and to one of the most extraordinary highway motels in the world.
Well, it didn't get any warmer. But anyway, we're here at one of the most eccentric and kitschest hotels on Highway 1. And it's the Madonna Inn.
But as the traffic rolls on by, after a day like today, any place is great to get my head down. The Madonna Inn and its pinky orange neon lit facade will have to wait till tomorrow.